does he give it, and they love it.
Into the hot zone to Hull. Shooting stars! Brett Hull!
Welcome back to another unbelievable episode of Ice Guardians with my guest host, Garth Butcher. Our pal Kelly Chase is indisposed right now, and hopefully he's feeling better. And our special guest, Stu Grimson, one of the toughest men to ever play in the NHL. Welcome.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
You
Thanks
guys,
for I've been hearing all about this Ice Guardians. It's good to be here. What I love most about Ice Guardians, you found this really cool. I think they call it a euphemism, Butch. It's not goon, it's not tough guy, it's not cop. It's like you've softened, you've given it some distinction, the Ice Guardian,
yeah.
right? I like that.
yeah, well, you remember Chaser did the documentary
Yeah,
Ice Guardians, and typical little sly move by Chaser. He bought the naming. He bought the naming rights.
Hijacked the intellectual property.
Yeah, and when he bought this warehouse and turned it into the studio, we had been talking about doing a podcast, and I just said, yeah, sure. And he goes, let's do it. And I got the name Ice Guardians, so that's what we're going to call it. And I went, well, that's genius. So
It works. It
That's
works.
great.
And
And
it's-
a lot of the theme has been too, Stu. Like, it's great, I think, for the people to meet fellows like yourself and Cam Johnson, all the like. It's always the guys, whatever word you want to use for them, enforcers, tough guys,
Yeah.
team guys. Like, they're the guys that are the best guys.
yeah, like
They're
Chaser
just-
calls you guys,
And then the other
3 a.m. guys.
And then the other thing I think people don't recognize, they also tend to be the smartest guys.
Absolutely.
And we talk, I mean, you got an education afterwards, and one like
Yeah.
a guy like Twister.
Harvard.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Harvard Law.
It's right next to Tom Collegiate in Regina. So it really is, whether that's a misperception or not, it certainly has
Well, it
never been
completely
amongst
is.
myself and guys who didn't necessarily play your role, guys like Brett who appreciate it.
'cause
too.
what was
So
the-
it's very cool.
Back
Yeah.
when we were really young, it was like Cement Head. Oh,
Exactly,
Hey, you
exactly.
Cement Head Butcher. It's like, hold on, no, really, actually, a smart guy. You want to see all the businesses he owns and runs. And, And-
I think that comes from, because I hear that a lot. It's very common in our sport, but when you're wired that way, you're not necessarily gifted with all the talents in the world. You don't have the best shot. You don't have the best, you don't see the ice in the way that a Hull does or somebody like that. But you've got enough skill to play the game, but you find this niche, right? You've got to have the perception, the understanding. There's a niche to be played here. And when you put yourself in that niche, which is you're the consummate team guy, right?
game changers.
You're glue in the room. You end up being
Yeah.
the guy that has the keenest sense of what the group needs at that moment.
are
And
so
sometimes
right.
that's getting into a scrape, or maybe sometimes that's standing up in the middle of the room and chewing people a new asshole.
Well,
We've
and
had-
it's sometimes being smart enough to recognize what will get you and keep you
That's
in the NHL.
that's the point. That's
We've
the
talked
point I'm
about
making.
it. We've talked about it with almost every guest, and it's there. You have to offer something to the group.
Yeah.
And it's not, you can only have so many 50 goal scorers or 100 assist guys. You have to have people that make room and change the flow of a game if it's not going the way.
Yeah.
But then in the room, the people have to be held accountable.
Yeah.
Not only for what they're doing on the ice, but off the ice as well.
Yeah.
And there's an art to it.
I think one of the most unique things about our sport, and it still exists today, but it was much more relevant when the three of us played. It was that moment in a game where, your team's struggling, they're flat, they're down a goal or two, and whoever the guy is in my role, whether it's you, me, Chaser, whoever, a light goes off inside that person's head and he goes, we need something right now. We're flat, we're out of it, we need something right now. You go out and you get into a scrape with somebody like you on the other side, it amazes me. 3 times in 5, 7 times in 10, the game turns at that
Absolutely. I
moment,
totally
right?
agree.
You go out, you put yourself in harm's way, you get into a scrape, it changes the energy on your bench, it changes the energy from your coach's point of view, and the 20,000 people in the building sure know something happened. And it amazes me how much it can turn a game on its ear.
Yeah.
But, again, it speaks to that point. There's somebody who has a really keen sense of what the team needs, that's willing to kind of put himself into that void and make a difference. So,
and that guy, the coach never had to tell because he recognized
Right.
himself.
oh no, that
Like,
guy's,
oh, the coach tell you that?
yeah.
No.
Well,
Like,
because that's the last thing I wanted to hear. Like, I never wanted a coach in my
No.
ear. Hey, Stu, we could
Yeah.
really use one right now.
no.
I was hypersensitive to it, so I'm doing it before it ever occurs to the guy behind the bench.
For some of us, for some of those coaches, if they said it to us, we better turn around and flop them.
Yeah, and we have talked about that. And Chaser, he brings up Joel Quenneville.
Yeah.
And he goes, Joel was astutely aware of the whole game,
Yeah,
including
including that piece of it.
yes.
Yeah.
And he would bring them in and go, look I don't know anything about this. That wasn't my game.
Right.
I don't know it.
Right.
But he goes, you guys have to come to me and let me know, right? Like turn around and go, coach, it's time. And
Yeah.
and he goes,
We need
I'll
one
get
here.
that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Because I played in a completely different role, and I would see that there were coaches that had no clue.
Right.
And it'd be like at the end of the game, and you'd get 2 shifts or less, maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
And it'd be like, go out there. And like, hold on. What do you mean go out there now? Right. And almost embarrassingly so.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I hated that.
Yeah.
I would rather say, send out the good players, because they're like, if we're out there and all of a sudden it's, Grimson and Kosher and Primo with Norwood and whoever on defense, if he throws me and Adam Oates out there, like, you guys aren't going to just sit there and beat us up.
No.
Right?
Exactly.
Like, the game's over probably because he's doing that, and it's 7-2 or whatever. And it's like, and then he goes and embarrasses the guys who, it's like,
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine going out and trying to fight after sitting on the bench for 2.5
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
feet are numb and sore, and oh my.
No.
And I hated coaches like that.
Yeah, and Grimmer, we talked a little bit earlier about, path and staying in the NHL and what you got to do to get there, things like that. One of the things on the shows that I've seen that I've found really interesting, when we had Cam Johnson on there a while back, is that path to the NHL. Because of the guys like Brett Hull's friends, my friends, and I'm talking in the early teenage years, Kelly Chase's, yourselves, I'm assuming, certainly Cam Johnson, when I heard his story about
Right.
how he made it, because he loved hockey because he watched Brett Hull play, didn't play anything like him. But I think they'd be shocked that we made it at that time to the NHL
Yeah.
and spent as much time as we did. So maybe tell your path a little bit and give us the Reader's Digest
Yeah,
version
from
of
growing up as a
when you
young
were
kid, and
just like I just said, I was going to play in the NHL. What I didn't realize is I was no good.
yeah,
I didn't try out for a team till I was 10.
Right.
I was the last player on the team. It was
Yeah.
a test. This is reminding me because just the other night I had dinner with Candace Chase, Kelly's sister,
Yeah.
in Toronto. And she had she goes, you must have been good. I go, I was no good. And
either was
and
I.
I told her
We've
of my
we've
journey
talked
to
about
Adam
this.
and Pee Wee and Bantam and in Regina. And
Yeah.
in Regina, I watched, Dennis Sobchuk and Clark Gillies. Well, they're just playing the NHL, so I think I'll do that too.
Right.
Mhm.
And I'm son of Bobby Hull, one of the greatest ever. I never even thought about the NHL.
No.
I just played it because we were up in Canada, and that's just what we
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Mhm.
We played hockey. What else are you gonna do? Throw snowballs?
I mean, it was the very way I got involved. I was 5 years of age. We're living in a little town called Osoyoos, British Columbia, in the heart of the Okanagan,
absolutely
southern part
beautiful.
of the valley. That's gorgeous.
Summertime.
And my mom and dad came to me. They said, "Hey, your buddies are all playing organized hockey this year. Do you want to play?" We didn't even have a rink in Osoyoos. We had to go to, I think we had to go to
Oliver or some,
Oliver. It was Oliver. I was going to say Orville, but that's in
because
Washington.
I played junior in Penticton. So,
Oliver's where we had a rink. So that's where it started up. And like you, Butch, like some years I was house league, other years I might make the travel team. It was kind of a mix of 50-50.
Were you always big like you
always
are now?
Always big. Had kind of an aggressive, maybe mean,
kind of
goofy streak.
Right.
You know, the wires are prone to touching from time to time. So I think as you kind of graduate up, I don't think I really understood that an NHL career was within my grasp until I made the Regina Pats. Like for me, again, some travel years, some house league years, but I was big enough and had enough skill that, tier 2 hockey, I was going to play. When I got to 16 years of age, I had kind of a decision to make.
Don't we all in Canada at 16?
But it was BCJHL playing about 90 miles away from my hometown in Kamloops, British Columbia for the Kelowna back then. I think it was the Buckaroos back then. The BCJHL. And that's where we kind of decided I was going to take a run at junior hockey. But I was listed by the Regina Pats. I was on their protected list.
That's right, because it
Trevor,
changed.
You may not even remember this, but you came on our bus as
a
young guy.
Oh, I remember
our road trip through Kamloops.
Trotzy was your captain. Trotzy was your captain.
No, I was.
I thought Trotzy was the captain.
No,
you were. Okay.
Trotzy should have been captain because he's a lot better behaved than I was.
Butchy had the
Trotzy
fake
lived in my
ID.
basement in Regina.
That's
Jerry
too funny.
Trotz was what a great guy.
Can I tell you, this is worth telling. To actually be listed by the Regina Pats, here's how that happened. So I'm 16 years of age, maybe 15 years of age. Me and my buddies living in Kamloops, British Columbia, and me and my buddies are walking down Main Street, Kamloops. We're going to see a movie right there on the corner of Main and can't remember what the street was. We see like this small group of, we called them rig pigs back then. They were guys that they were in their mid 20s, early 20s, and they worked the drill rigs in and around Kamloops. But they come into town on the weekend and they hoop it up. They'd spend their wages, and they'd get goofy. So we spot these guys, and we both ended up on the same corner right in front of Main Street. And my buddies and I were all wearing our Sahali junior high jackets, our football jackets. I played football back then too, not surprisingly. So we've got our Sahali leather football jackets on, and these rig pigs walk up and they go, "Oh, Sahali. What's this Sahali thing? What's our football team?" Well, Sahali sucks. So they're all pretty lit up, right? So there's 3 of them faced off with 3 of my buddies, and I'm kind of on the back. I step in, I part the shoulders of my 2 buddies, and the guy that's making the most noise out of these rig pigs just fucking tattooed him right in the face, popped 2 teeth out of his face. He goes reeling back. We end up in this big brawl in front of the Kamloops movie theater. Would you believe, at that moment in time, Glenn Dirk is the head scout of the Regina Pats. Great guy. God rest his soul. He passed away
I went to
a little less than a year ago.
Lovely family, great guy.
Glenn Dirk is driving by the movie theater, Main Street, Kamloops, British Columbia. He sees me in this 25, 26 something going at it. And he's like, "That's the Grimson boy.
He's on our list."
He can play. I think he can play.
Okay, is Dirk like Robert, related to Robert Dirk that we played with here in St. Louis?
I think
No.
they were.
No,
If
They were
they are, it's a
related.
long distance, but yeah.
like
I think it was
cousin or nephew?
uncle nephew. I think it was
Okay.
uncle nephew or distant cousins. or
Robert
something
Dirk
like
was
that.
a great guy.
Well, and Mr. Dirk, as I called him, because he was a scout for Regina when I was there,
And he scouted
and he
the NHL
went
too.
on to New Jersey,
Yeah.
and he was hugely like
Involved in their
Niedermeyer
Stanley
Niedermeyer
Cup
was his
runs,
guy.
right.
Like he made some terrific picks
Yeah.
that
He's a good hockey
Lou
man.
Labarello
Yeah.
credited him to a lot of New Jersey
Awesome.
success.
Yeah,
All
he was a
right.
really
Great
good
job.
hockey man.
Well,
Really good hockey
let's
man.
take our first break, and we'll be back with Ice Guardians and Stu Grimson and my pal Garth Butcher. We'll be back. I'm Brett Hull.
I'm Kelly Chase.
His whole career was checking everything that moved.
Yeah, well, I'm still checking for cancer. Regular cancer screenings are an important way to take control of your health.
Siteman Cancer Center will help you get started. Visit GetScreenedNow.com.
Preventative screenings are one of the best ways to detect cancer early when it's easiest to treat.
You ever check anyone?
Nah, too busy scoring. Wow, nice hustle. The only time I get to see that much drive is when I feed my dog. Nugget loves every flavor of Diamond Naturals adult formula. Every time I fill her bowl, it's like a breakaway. I think she loves Diamond Naturals almost as much as she loves the Blues. They both come from Missouri. Maybe it's local pride. All I do know is to step away from the bowl come feeding time because she'll rough you up if you get in the way.
On the ice, the enforcer protects the team. At home, you need something that protects your house as well. That's why St. Louis trusts Window World for replacement windows, doors, and siding.
Locally owned and operated since 2003, they've installed windows in nearly 80,000 homes. Their windows come standard with double strength glass, a lifetime warranty, including breakage.
Listen, 60% of the appointments 2025 came from previous customers' referrals, and because people know that they deliver.
Right now, get 0% APR for 36 months. Call 800-GET-WINDOWS for details about credit cost and terms. For new accounts, the APR for purchase is 29.99%, subject to credit approval. Score big at Hippos Dispensaries with locations in Chesterfield, Columbia, and Springfield. Daily deals that keep your wallet in the game, top cannabis brands you know and trust, and bud tenders who feel like teammates. Hippos, your home rink for cannabis in Missouri. Welcome back, Ice Guardians. Stu Grimson, Garth Butcher, Brett Hull. We were just talking about how you ended up in a street fight that got you to the Regina Pats. I like what you said is like I spread my boys out and I popped the guy and knocked his 2 teeth out. And then you said, oh, there's that Grimson kid going at it. And I'm like, the guy was still fighting after you hit him the first time.
Yeah, he was still going at it. In fact, he was more pissed than I thought he was, and the fight was less over than I thought it was. Back then, you never tied your shoes up, right? Never tied up your sneakers. So I lost the shoe as I'm fighting this guy. I double back after I thought the fight was over. I bend over, put my shoe on. He's got these big fucking steel-toed boots. Would you believe? Kicked me right in the face, cut my lip, and it's on again. Here we go. I get back. It's after hours. My parents are asleep when I get back, but I wake up in the morning. My dad comes down. It's the weekend. It's Stu, get out there and mow the lawn.
Right.
I wake up. I got this big fat lip. It's split. What the hell happened to you? And I tell him the story. He says, haven't I given you enough? Haven't I given you enough? You never turn your back on a guy. Like I thought I was going to get in shit for fighting.
Right.
You never turn your back on a guy until he's horizontal.
Yeah.
You're a police officer father.
My police officer father.
Who tells
31 years of the Royal Canadian Mounted Force. This is the advice I get from my dad.
It's my dad. He goes, when you hit him, you better keep hitting him until he can't hit you.
Make sure he's done.
Yeah.
Make sure he's done.
Yeah, well, you talked about, thinking the fight was over. I had a few of those with Probert. I did pretty good. And the fight's over. I was like, I didn't know he was just getting started. And I was exhausted. So
Probert was a late bloomer in that respect. He came on strong at the end of the fight.
And then Chaser likes to talk about the guys he never wanted to fight because if you got him, it was a 7-game series.
Oh God!
Like it was like, oh, okay, now you got to fight him again and again and again.
Dave Brown.
Right.
Dave Brown was the epitome of the best thing you could do for yourself, your career, and I learned this the hard way, was to beat Brownie. But the worst thing to live with after was to your point, the 4 times you had to fight him after that.
you're better off just losing the first one.
Just take your lumps early. I mean, the man was just unrelenting, unbelievable.
Who are some of the guys?
Great guy along those lines.
Well, like we talked about, you guys all are. Like, who are some of your nemesis? Like there was, you'd get in the odd one with some guy, but there was guys that like you guys that played for years and like, it was like always.
Probert for me. Yeah. I fought Probert. We fought 14 times over the course of our careers. Like there was nobody I fought more than Probert, and the same is true of him. God rest his soul. Again,
Yep.
another guy we lost too early. But
Yes.
Probert was a handful. He was a good fighter. He didn't hit like some of the other guys did. Brownie, Koch, those guys hit like a Twister.
Oh.
I only fought Twister once. We grew up together, so
Right.
we kind of knew each other. But those guys hit like mules kick. Right? They
Right.
were unbelievable. Brownie had a left hand that hit like a thundercloud. It was just like he was trouble. And he had this. You remember in warm-ups, right? He just had this 1,000-yard stare. He's looking like through you, through the building, through a tree outside. Brownie just had this 1,000-yard stare that was just like, here we go. Tough man, tough man.
Right. Like Ben Wilson.
Yeah, Ben was tough. Ben was gone. You would have played against him. Ben was gone by the time I broke in, but I understand you could hit Ben as hard as you want to, and you weren't phasing him.
He had a snap factor, and you just didn't know when it was going. Kind of like Shaddy in a way, right? It's like, here's a guy who's a good player.
Yeah.
and
Good.
And you're just
Really
trying to figure
good,
out
yeah.
what's he want to do tonight? Is he just going to play good, or is he
Right.
going to kill somebody?
Yeah, is he going to
You know?
snap and fight Darian Hatcher? And we talked about that too. Like, there was those guys, Verbeek, Shanahan, Tocchet,
Yeah.
50 goals, 40 goals,
Yeah.
and fight anyone that
Yeah.
they'd fight anyone.
Yeah.
Brendan Shanahan fought Darian Hatcher every game, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that Darian Hatcher's a big human being.
You know what I always admired about those guys? The hardest thing that I had to deal with in my role was over-investing in my role. So I had this, you never want to lose. You don't want to be humiliated in front of your teammates
Right.
and these 20,000 people. So I over-invested in that part of the game and making sure that I was ready when the gloves came off. But it happens once every 3 games, 4 games, even if you're busy. And it only happens for 30, 45 seconds.
Yeah, because a lot of guys they're tough, but they have no balance. Like that's what Chaser used to say, right?
Yeah.
Like Peluso, I'm
Yeah.
not fighting you. You're going to fall down, and I'm going to have to
Right.
go to the penalty box
Right.
for 5 minutes. I'm not even going to be
Yeah.
able to beat you up.
But that was my point. Like guys like Probert, though, they struck that balance between they were ready to go when they needed to go,
Right.
but they could play the game. Like they could play and tear down 15 minutes a night to 18 minutes a night. Some of these guys, I always admired that because
Me too.
I overinvested in the physical part of it, to my detriment. Still had a good long career, no regrets. But that was where some of these other guys were different from me in that respect.
We talked to Joey Kosher the other day, and we brought up Bobby Probert,
Yeah.
and we started talking about the Hall of Fame, and it was always okay, 500 goals, 1,000 points, 5 Stanley Cups, whatever their criteria kind of was, and then I don't know. It started to morph a little bit. And then all of a sudden now, like Guy Carbonneau got it in. It's like, okay, obviously a really great player.
Yeah.
But if you were going to define Carbo, it would be a defensive
Yeah.
player.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, okay, now we're going to acknowledge that these guys that maybe didn't get 500 goals or whatever,
Yeah.
well, they were still Hall of Fame type guys
Yeah.
and players.
Yeah.
So we talked to Joey and he goes, okay, now what's the next? And I go, I've said it for years now that there needs to be guys. And we decided that Bob Probert should be the first guy kind of in that niche or category, whatever you
Sure.
want to call it.
Yeah.
He'd be the guy
Yeah.
to me that you would put in the Hall of Fame
Yeah.
if you're going to go
Yeah.
enforcer type guy, ice guardian type guy. He would be the guy, wouldn't you? Or
Yeah. Yeah.
like there was like John Ferguson back in the day,
Yeah.
many cup wins that, but I think Probert would be your inaugural guy.
Oh, I think
Do you
so.
agree with that?
Oh, I do.
Right.
I mean, I agree with you, and I would look at it in the following way, Hully. Think of a guy. I mean, Probert was a 20 goal scorer.
30 something one year, 29,
Yeah.
30.
Yeah.
And he played with Yzerman and Gerard Gallant. What a line that
Probert
was.
was in the All-Star game.
Yes, he
his
was.
Second, third-ish year in the game. But can you go back in time? Like, there are guys who were rather remarkable in this respect, like Clark Gillies. The book on Gillies was Let the Man Sleep, but
Right.
he was a 20-plus goal scorer most every year he played. Point I'm making is there's just, I don't think we've ever seen a package as complete, if you want to bring in the physical element, as Probert. Like, who was that gifted, like, just in terms of the ability to play? He was never less than a third line player. He was a top 6 guy for much of his career, and nobody wanted to fight him.
Well, and that's
You don't find that that skill set, that package in just any player.
and like for guys like me, and I'm sure the rest of the team as well, we loved having him on Yzerman's line
Yeah.
because he was playing hockey.
Right.
And it's like you just wish you look back there and see Butchy, and he's like, "Oh, we're down a few. Like I'm going to do something."
I'm gonna get
and
goofy.
then he would give it, because he'd be out there against defending Yzerman,
yeah.
and then there's Bob. I'm gonna do something, and then the whole bench would just be going, "Oh no, Butchy, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you'd wake up the sleeping giant, and it'd be like, "Oh God."
100%.
But I think part of his value wasn't necessarily the fights he had. It was the fact that whenever he was on the ice, whoever was on the ice for the opposing team knew he was on the ice.
Yeah, and they were
And was
neutralized.
awareness you had.
and maybe changing their game slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Slightly.
So that's
If you could only know
that-
the noise
that's a-
going on between the ears of the other
like,
people.
that's a value, right? And
100%.
yeah.
Another way of looking at it too is, yes, there's awareness when you're out there against Probert. You have to be, because he's big, he's trouble.
Right.
But it's the space he got too, right? As he's driving to the net and Steve's got the puck high in the zone or something like that. Like,
Are you gonna cross
you
check
kind
him or
of got
not?
him, you kind of don't want to got him. It's like you're
Well,
walking that balance if you're not Braveheart out there.
Time and space is the thing.
Yeah.
And time and space is, like I said, I wasn't very good. And when I was 16, I went to the SJHL and I fought everybody in sight.
Yeah.
And I got called up for the Pats as a 16-year-old. We ended up going to the Memorial Cup. I fought every 20-year-old I could. And I got a phone call that June when I'm no good. And it was from Bill Waters' agency, not Bill Waters himself, but I think the guy's name was Quinn. He goes, "We'd like to represent you." And I go,
What
"Why?"
is that? Yeah,
Why?
Represent
And they
me.
go,
What did I get? Am I getting arrested?
And I remember it. And I said, "Yeah, what did I do?" And so, it was, he goes, "Oh, we think you got a chance to get drafted next year." And I go, "Where?" And
The Army?
I am so naive. I don't know.
But which is the
Yeah.
greatest thing, right?
But here's the hilarious part. So this is June. Season's over. Go through the first, whatever it is, 20 games of the season. Whatever the central scouting ratings came out, Hockey News,
Yeah.
I was rated 4th in the world.
You were 4th?
Hold on.
Yeah.
In the world.
I went 10th, Hully, a little
did you
ahead of you.
misspeak by saying the world?
The world.
Like,
No, because a guy named Yuri Dudacek was rated.
Dudacek, I remember him.
He was rated 3rd. Dale Howard, Chuck, and I forget who else. Might have been Ronnie Francis, something like that. And it was like 4th. And apparently, I drank too much beer, so I dropped to 10th overall. But
You're still in the mix.
that's arguable.
Still in the mix.
See, I love that. It's incredible.
But that's the
Fourth
way
in
it starts for
world.
a lot of us, right? When you demonstrate you have the physical, willingness to just engage and do that, especially in the era we grew up in,
Right.
it makes a difference. That role had value, so you could earn that role, but it was up to you. And you did a great job of this, Butch. I mean, you were an elite defender for much of your career,
Right.
and the physical element was really the gateway for you, right? Like, that's how a lot of us got in. And it's up to you after
And
that.
stay.
Make yourself a player or don't make yourself a player. Here's
the
your
start.
opportunity.
And I don't know if I did it on purpose, but my draft year, I had something like the first half of the year as a defenseman,
Yeah.
20 points, 200 plus minutes.
Yeah.
The last half of the year, I got 66 more points and like 80 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because it was established,
Yeah.
and I as you guys, I know you won't argue with me on this one, not the best skater or stick handler, but I had an extra half a second. I had an extra second.
You got a little more space.
And I could play on the
Yeah.
power play. And
Yeah.
that was essentially it. I
Yeah.
got,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of the guys didn't want to come too close.
Yeah. And you can't blame them either.
Carried a heavy Titan.
You know, and you gotta, you know, we had Barrett Jackman on, and he talked about when he was in also Regina, right?
It's Regina.
And then I can't remember where he said he was playing, and maybe the minors his first year, and they go, well, you're not playing like Barrett Jackman. He goes, okay, and so he went out and he fought like everyone, and he had like 200 minutes in penalties, and they called him and said, okay, I think maybe you took that the wrong way. And he goes, we want you to play as well. And he goes, well, it's too late now, because everyone that looks on that sheet sees Barrett Jackman with 200 penalty minutes.
Yeah.
They're coming.
Yeah.
And he goes, like, it's too late, right?
It's your role whether you want it or not.
Right.
Once you've invested enough in it. Yeah.
Like, and Jax was beloved in Regina. Like coach,
Right.
and it's like, sadly, he was my dad's favorite Regina Pat. I came in second place, I think, to that. But I know guys, like I talked to Drew Caller the other night, and he had Jax he was assistant coach or whatever in Regina. Like as a kid going into Regina, I think he's a 16-year-old.
Right.
They loved him, and he was the toughest guy ever. But Jax could play.
Yeah.
And that again is that guy, right?
Yeah.
Valuable player.
And there's a guy that you look at him and he scared you.
Yeah.
He's got that, like, I'm going to kill you look, like I'm the guy who shaves my head from Full Metal Jacket. That, he's got those eyes in him. And, but another hell of a player, tough guy who's just a sweetheart of a human being.
Yeah.
And it's like,
You know what I will say about that role? The one advantage it has, it's a hard role to play, but the one advantage it had, I mean, if things weren't going well and the club needed a goal, you're the guy that can manufacture that. But it's not an easy thing to do. And it was not an every night thing necessarily. But for me, again, if the club is flat, if we're behind, or if it's late in the game and we're message sending, whatever the circumstance was, like if it
could
called
be a
for a fight,
back-to-back.
I could fight. Like I could almost always get into a scrape, and a scrape had value, right? A fight had value. Win or lose, you were doing something on the team's behalf. That was an advantage. Like there was a way to change physical energy in a game, and it didn't involve scoring a goal necessarily. Like that's the one advantage we in this group had. If you had that recognition, and you could make a living at it.
The other thing I loved that you guys could do was you didn't necessarily have to get into a fight, but you could render another tough guy, almost neuter him, because you would almost embarrass him in the corner or against the wall or whatever. And there's no way he wanted to fight you. And everyone in the rink could see that there was a dominant alpha man out there and the other guy. And some of those things were career ending. Yeah. Like that would, to me, like if I didn't score for a couple of games, like I wasn't worried about me like, oh, there's another guy, coming in and he's going to score. Yeah. Right. But like if a guy loses a couple fights in a row, there's always someone down in the minors. That's right. Right. And so let's get into that when we come back after this break from Ice Guardians.
Did you know on Siteman Cancer Center's website, you could find your risk of 12 cancers and 6 other important chronic diseases and get personalized tips for preventing them? This easy-to-use tool called Your Disease Risk is your source on prevention. Developed by world-renowned experts, Your Disease Risk combines the latest scientific evidence, disease risk factors, and offers step-by-step guidance for improving your health. Visit yourdiseaserisk.com and calculate your risk today, and make sure you're getting your routine cancer screenings for further prevention.
Oh, you're a legend on the ice, but you're no legend in a repair shop.
You're right, Chaser. I couldn't fix a car if it came with a playbook.
That's why you got Car Shield. When your car breaks down, They help and handle all the expensive repairs.
Yep, my first call is Car Shield, and boom, covered. No huge repair bills, no stress.
So you can save the game face for the golf course.
Exactly.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts, exclusions at carshield.com.
No sport flips faster than hockey. One power play, a goalie pulled in the last 2 minutes left, and everything changes. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for that kind of chaos, with live betting from puck drop to the final horn. And DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If you place a pre-game player prop bet and your player starts the game but leaves in the first period due to an injury and doesn't return, you'll get your money back in cash. No bonus bets, no opt-ins, just real protection when injuries early. New to DraftKings? Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code GUARDIANS. That's code GUARDIANS to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets instantly. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Hold on a second. I got it. Let's go.
I could have scored 86 with air in the pucks. Our town, our team, our builder. McBride & Son Homes. They're everywhere you want to live.
Welcome back. Brett Hull, Garth Butcher, Stu Grimson. You know, before we left, we were talking about there's so many unbelievable, talented guys that we talk about. Like they didn't get 50 goals. They didn't, but they were such an integral part of every team. And what year do you guys think it was when, like, there was obviously tough guys, you had the Broad Street Bullies and the Boston Bruins in the early 70s, but like Terry O'Reilly and they were players, Bobby Clark, Selesky, and I don't know about Dave Schultz or whatever. I can't remember how great a player, if any, he was, but it was more of a team toughness thing. And then all of a sudden there are designated tough guys.
Yeah.
And more than one.
Yeah. I think the 90s were kind of an era where it was like there was almost, it wasn't, we were 26, 28 teams ish around
the original
then.
21.
Yeah. But it wasn't every team, but most teams had two guys in this role for the most part. I started to notice that around the early 90s, maybe even into the late 90s.
And our division, Butchy can talk about the Pacific, but
the Norris division.
But oh my God, the Chuck Norris division.
The Chuck Norris division was, me and Peluso. It was Basil McRae and Shane Shirley in Minnesota. It was Proby, McKay, Kosher in Detroit, Wendell, Ty. Who else am I missing from? Oh, Bomber was in Toronto as well. That was the old, now it's the Central, but back then it was the Norris division. But I mean, every night was, you had your dance card full.
Yeah, and you talk about it, and we had Wendell on, and as tough as Wendell was, he was like, every night we were just hoping it was a close game, because as soon as it kind of got out of hand, it was bedlam.
It was crazy.
And then then you'd get guys like, and I love them to death, but Twister and Chaser, they would just get bored. And they're like, the one night in Chicago, they decided they were going to try to beat up Roenick and Goulet. And Adam Oates and I are on the bench going, what are you idiots doing? I mean, okay, so you're going to take on Goulet and Roenick. And, Jeremy, he could hold his own a little bit.
Oh, yeah, he was goofy enough.
And he just probably deserved a little bit. He probably did something stupid. But Michel Goulet, I'm sitting there going, Oh boy.
Have some
I'm
respect
like,
for the
oh,
game at the end of the day.
How about respect for me? Because Brian Sutter's just dumb enough to throw me back out there now. God. I mean, and it was in Chicago Stadium, and I'm like, oh, this is crazy.
That's the part of the game I hated the most. Whenever the other side was loaded with lunatics like you, but it got to a 3-goal, 4-goal spread late in the game, it was just like, please. Like we all got, we all feel like we got to do something, but
the game's
it
over.
It ain't fun. It ain't fun at that moment.
But remember those teams like Chicago, like Troy Murray, God bless his soul, was tough. Yeah. Dirk Graham was tougher than nails. I mean, tough. They had Manson and
Al Secor.
Bobby McGill was there.
Yeah.
Well, Al was gone by the time I may have played against him. Because remember, he was one of those first fitness guys, and he tore his stomach muscle doing a triathlon, and he kind of was never the same.
But that was a line in the old Chicago
Larmer,
Stadium.
Secord, and Savard,
and that was a line that was kind of like, okay, what are we going to do now? Are we getting in a fight, or do I have to watch that little bugger spin around? Is Larmer just going to thread a great pass to Secord? Like it was just. They were a line that was hard to play against because of all of the things they brought.
They
to
could
the
play
table.
it any way
Each guy brought to the table.
And then they had Chelios. He was like just mean and dirty, like Pronger. I mean, oh my Lord. Yeah. But it was like, it was like, I look back at myself and I'm like I just sit on the bench and I was in awe of all of you, because it was like, it was so far in the left field from my abilities or my mental makeup.
It just wasn't the way you were wired.
I want to go out there and hug and kiss you guys. I came out to play hockey and have a good time. And I was fine. You could slash me and cross check me. I'll take it and still hang in there. But there was no chance that I was ever gonna know how to fight. Never got in a fight in my life.
Yeah.
And it's like, but luckily, I guess I played a way where no one really wanted, I didn't do anything to make anyone mad enough to want to fight me.
Yeah. Well, and you were kind of, certain rare exceptions, but you were off limits for guys that did what we did. You were off limits. Like nobody's really back then, as goofy as the game was, as physical as it was, there were certain, for me, you monkeyed with the guys that were kind of in your weight class, the guys that were in your category. You generally didn't bother with.
But we talked about we talked about little mouthpiece guys that were like, you're super heavyweight to me. You're 6'6". You're.
I played at 250.
Yeah, you're a large human being, right? And that's a level in its own. But then you get guys like Chaser.
Yeah.
Like he's tough as anyone, but he's still no one would give a second thought if he fought Roenick.
No.
Yeah. Right? Because it's not like Stu Grimson grabbing Roenick and sorry. But Chaser was but no one understood. He was meaner and tougher, and his dad, the Gold Gloves boxer in Canada, taught him. He was the best fighter I ever seen. Yeah. I tell him, I go, you may not have felt like you got beat a lot or not a lot, but I watched you fight for I don't know how many years, and I saw you kind of get tossed around by Kordic one night. And other than that, you didn't win every fight, but you never lost.
Well, especially when you consider the reach factor.
And that was right. And just because you get cut doesn't mean you lost.
And that was a difference to me in junior and pro. In junior, I'd laugh before half the fights.
Yeah.
I'd pull a guy in and hammer him. When it's pro, I went to pull the guy in, but his arms are this much longer than mine, and he's a man, and he's got man strength holding you out now. You're like, oh dear.
Right.
What's going to happen now?
Level. It's a whole nother level.
Like that John Kordic, did you ever fight him?
I fought Cords a couple of times. Yeah. He was
a strong human being.
A really strong guy. I think he was benching over 400 pounds by the time he hit his
That's like Twister would do, yeah.
Now there was some supplements involved.
Absolutely.
There were some supplements involved there. Yeah. Can I just, while we're on it, I don't want to miss the opportunity to say this. There were guys that were not true heavyweights by their physical dimensions, like Shane Churla, even Rob Ray to some degree. Chaser, and I would put Chaser at the top of this class. Chaser fought guys my size, and he gave me
loved it.
5 inches. He gave me 35 more pounds. He fought guys my size routinely. Yeah, he loved it, but he was really good at it too.
Right, because he was a boxer. Right?
He rarely got embarrassed. He held his own. Like Chaser, tagged me with several. He was never going to demolish a guy my size,
Right.
but he was in there blow for blow.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'll tell you what, as looking at him from a distance, well, if you call this a distance, looking at him that way, I had immense respect for that man back then. And I said it then, I'll say it today, but I say it for a different reason. There's nobody tougher to me that played the game than that man. Like I had that sense of him then,
Right.
but now observing what he's going through post hockey,
He's tougher.
that that overshadows everything I felt
Right.
for him as a player, the way he is carrying himself today through all that he's going through. So, just a brief
I mean,
bit of acknowledgement for your co-host.
Many of
on
our
that.
friends and colleagues, but also my friends who didn't play hockey have nothing to do it, but know that Chaser and I are buddies. And it's,
Yeah.
how's your buddy?
Yeah.
And for 3 years now, I've been saying, if anybody's going to win this fight,
Exactly.
it's him.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah, that's what he says.
If he's nothing
Pick
else,
the wrong guy.
he's a fighter.
Yeah.
Like, and
Cancer may have
that's the
finally
thing.
met its match.
I sure hope
May
so.
have finally met its match.
Yeah.
You talk about a guy like him, and we had Billy Bush on earlier,
Yeah.
and huge, New York guy, Rangers, Islanders. He's a huge Rangers fan, but obviously he was big admirer of the Islanders, and we talked about like those guys back then with like Stan Jonathan,
Oh yeah. Gosh.
little guy,
Right.
and then George McPhee.
Dennis
Another guy.
Polonich.
Oh,
Dennis
Lord.
Polonich.
Yeah.
Like those guys are chaser type guys. Like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
George McPhee was as tough as anyone,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Remember Kim Claxon?
Yeah.
He
yeah.
played with my dad in
Before my
Winnipeg.
time. Yeah. He Bobby Nystrom wasn't really that
But
big
he,
either.
no, I thought he was a big.
He
maybe
was
6'1".
he's a tough guy, but he's
Oh, I mean,
Clarkey,
yeah.
like who was another, didn't have to very often, didn't want to,
Right.
and wanted to play
Yeah.
and contribute. And obviously, both those two examples, like they did.
Yeah.
They didn't need tough guys. They had Billy Smith on the net. He was the toughest guy on their team.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Like
But-
you think
but even
about
Trotz.
Wendell Clark. Wendell Clark gave Proby all he could handle.
Oh, Wendell.
Yeah.
That's if you ever
Yeah.
feel down and you just put on Wendell Clark fights, and it's like, wow, hey. I mean, it is just awesome.
We were boys. What is Wendell doesn't go 6 feet, does he?
No, he's
No.
five
If he's 6
11.
feet, he's barely 6 feet.
Right.
He's 5'11".
Yeah.
And back then, we were 17 years of age. He and I are the same age, same draft year and all that. But I fought Wendell, and again, like 6 inches,
Easy. Yeah.
then maybe more, 30 pounds, 25, 30 pounds. I hit him so hard, square on the button one night in Saskatoon, Regina Pats versus the Blades. I hit him so hard, dropped him to his knees. Would you believe before I could load up another one, he was back on his feet, like giving me all I could handle, and I'm backpedaling. Like,
Like he
at a
wasn't
moment like that, when you're 6 inches taller than the other guy, 30 pounds heavier, you're going, I can't believe how tough
He
the
never
guy at
held
the end of my
on.
sleeve is, you know?
Right? He never held on. He was like a battleship, one gun going after another and going forward all the time, right?
Toronto, LA in the playoffs that one year, he and Marty. I mean, he
Oh.
gave Marty a good dressing down. And Marty's a tough guy.
Marty's a big
big,
human
tough
being
Big,
guy.
too.
strong, tough guy.
Big, tough guy.
6'3", 6'4",
Mm-hmm.
2.
I'd say Marty's 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah, and
he was
a
235.
fire hydrant at that length.
Ripped and built.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of
And
muscle.
just like from the neck up, just he's like you, just nasty. Like there's no filter from what comes out of your mouth. I mean,
I thought you were about to say, "What a nice guy!" Like that's what we're
super
saying.
nice guy. But like when it came to the game and just being like a verbal
Oh, yeah.
assassin,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he was one of the guys I used to have to fight in Edmonton.
Yeah.
Instead of Sammy.
How about that team?
Right.
Semenko, Jackson, McClellan.
McClellan and I went out all the time too. It's just like, so you're like, you had an option. Play against Gretz and Curry, right? It's lots of times Sammy, sometimes Hunter, or McCullen's line. All three nasty buggers that they were. Or Marty or Bookaboo.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I mean? Like they were
That's right.
like, okay, do I want to get beat up tonight or would I like to be -5? I have a choice here.
Especially back when you were on the Canucks and you guys were terrible.
We weren't good. We weren't good. There's one night there, we're finally going to be like, they played them 8 times back in those days.
Yeah.
And then we just got to go over to Calgary, who wasn't very good or tough either the next night. But it was like, we were literally winning after the second period in the Coliseum in Edmonton. And it was like, oh my God, like we're going to finally beat them. Like we're going to win this game. It's unbelievable. And as we were in between periods coming out the door to, flex your stick, like all you could hear from their locker room was rock music and laughter because we weren't. So we're beating them and we're done. And it's Johnny Garrett was in net and Richard Border was our number one. Johnny was our backup. Yeah. Johnny, both, I love both of those guys. And we're actually winning. And I'm not on the ice, of course, but it's 3-2 with 12 seconds to go, face off on our zone, and we're winning. We're beating the Edmonton Oilers, who are unbelievable at this time. Yeah. And we win the draw. Lars Lindgren drills it right past Johnny Garrett. He couldn't make that shot again in 50 years if he tried. It was a tremendous shot. Instead of maybe wrapping around the boards, he just because
panic.
He was just here's a veteran guy who's like so we're gonna be the Edmonton Oilers, and it's like boom, and we're just going, oh my God. That just happened. And it's just like they were so good, but they were so tough. And you talk about guys knowing their role and playing both roles, and the whole team was made up of that kind of makeup. And then you got Furzy in the net. Paul Coffey should have been -5, and the game was still 0-0. Now he's +3 in the next 10 minutes. Right? Because Furzy would just shut the door. And I mean, we'd be out shooting them like crazy, and Coff come wheeling behind the net and give it up, and then, of course, Koff would end up with 4 points because he was so fast and so terrific.
Sick.
And another
between him,
great dude.
and Anderson.
He's a great man. He's a great man.
Actually, congratulations to Koff. He won Man of the Year.
Yeah.
Man of the Year where?
For the
How much did he beat me by?
Weren't you the defendant? Man of the Year?
Haven't you won that yet? Have you won that yet?
I don't know, but with that being said, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Now it's time for our Get Checked moment of the game, and today's topic is lung cancer. Lung cancer often doesn't present symptoms in the early stages, which is why it's so important to make sure you're getting screened if you're eligible. What makes you eligible, you might be wondering. If you're 50 to 80 years old and have a history of smoking 20 years or more, you can get checked. Even if you quit smoking, you can still get screened if you smoked in the last 15 years. If you're wanting to quit and having a hard time doing so, WashU Medicine offers a great smoking cessation program. You can learn more by emailing quitsmoking@wstl.education. And to get screened, if you're in Missouri or Illinois, visit getscreenednow.com to find locations near you.
On the ice, the enforcer protects the team. At home, you need something to protect your house as well. That's why St. Louis trusts Window World, replacement windows, doors, and siding.
Locally owned and operated since 2003, they've installed windows in nearly 80,000 homes. Their windows come standard with double strength glass, a lifetime warranty, including breakage.
Listen, 60% of the appointments 2025 came from previous customers' referrals, and because people know that they deliver.
Right now, get 0% APR for 36 months. Call 800-GET-WINDOWS for details about credit cost and terms. For new accounts, the APR for purchase is 29.99%. Subject to credit approval. Score big at Hippos Dispensaries. with locations in Chesterfield, Columbia, and Springfield. Daily deals that keep your wallet in the game, top cannabis brands you know and trust, and bud tenders who feel like teammates. Hippos, your home rink for cannabis in Missouri. Welcome back. Ice Guardians, Stu Grimson, Garth Butcher, Brett Hull. Great career, long career.
Fooled him for a while.
Yeah, we all do.
Fooled him for a while.
Take us through after hockey and your accolades there, because I would reckon to say that it's even better than your hockey career and more accomplished.
Well, as much fun as I had playing the game, I got to tell you, maybe it's just the stage in life I'm at, Hully, and maybe you guys can speak to this, but I'm having more fun now than I ever did when I played. It's a ball.
Yeah, we don't have to wake up and go to practice.
Exactly. I don't have
no coaches meetings.
I don't have two guys my size on the other side of the ledger looking to take my head off at the neck. So when you kind of make your living that way for a long time and you realize how hard that is, I mean, getting ready to play, to do hand-to-hand combat with somebody your size on skates, takes a lot out of you. I really do. I love where I'm at. But I went back to school after I retired. In maybe the second half of my career, I got really interested in all things NHL Players Association. Like I was a rep when I was in Chicago, Anaheim, LA for really the second half of my career. And I really kind of liked how that side of the business operated. And I felt pretty comfortable in that environment. So I started a conversation with Bob Goodenow, and it was really to join up and become a staff member of the union after I was done. And for that reason, I thought, hey, I'll finish off my undergraduate degree. I ended up earning a law degree at the same time because I saw some other players kind of go that route, and it ended up opening some doors for them. So I did that, got a law degree. I was admitted to practice in the state of Tennessee. That was kind of where I retired when I was all done playing the game. And then, I did. I worked for the union for a couple of years. That kind of went sideways during the Goodenow Saskin fallout and the morph to a salary cap world.
Did you see anything like on the dirty or like they call it in the U.S. politics, the swamp? Did you see any of that kind of stuff where it was like not above board?
Not. Well, I mean, the one thing I will share, the seedy part of it. Let me back up a step. Like, no question about it. The living and working for the union in Toronto, of all places. I mean, it's the mecca of hockey, right? Like, it's a super politically charged environment, like the whole business of, interacting with the league when you're with the union. But, I did, you guys would probably have been aware of this back around that time, but Ted Saskin ultimately hired me to come work for the Players Association back then. So I'm up there, I mean, maybe 6-8 months, a year into my stint with them. And a group of players they were after Ted. They were trying to take him out of the seat because the group that hired him then didn't do it by the letter of the Constitution. So long story short, I ended up finding out something. A former player ended up saying in an interview, I found it really peculiar. I was talking with some players over email about Ted Saskin and saying some things, that were kind of derogatory about him. Ted Saskin called me out of nowhere the next day to ask me about it. And he said, I just thought that was more than coincidence, So I read that article and it became aware to me, like, players don't say stuff like that unless there's truth to it. Like, players just don't sound off.
Right.
And being a former player, I'm like, I think this guy's saying Ted's doing something. He's accessing our private emails so that he could keep himself in power. And he's trying to put out this.
Yeah, so he can be in the know.
So he can be in the know, so he can short circuit all this movement that's against him. And so Ted was out of town when that article came out. He came back 2 days later, after I read this article, I barreled into his office. I said, you got to come clean with me. Like, he's the guy that hired me to be there. But players don't say this because it's not true. They don't say it for just the sake of saying it.
They don't make up stuff.
Did this happen? And he basically admitted to me that that's what had happened. He had, some others had accessed the private server, the server of that was
The players,
emails.
right.
And he's in there reading private messages so that he could keep himself entrenched in power. So, basically I became a whistleblower. I told the board, hey, this is what's going on. Long story short, they ended up firing Saskin soon after. But it was, to your point, it was an incredibly politically charged and seedy time in this whole transition from
What
Goodenow
started
to
with
Saskin.
like Eagleson, right? Like,
Right, 100%,
He started all the.
Yeah, there was a lot of shenanigans going on. And that goes back to Butch's era.
Yeah, I was one of the original Eagleson ousters when it wasn't cool.
Yeah.
I mean, back in those times, in the mid '80s,
Yeah.
I was arguing and fighting with my own teammates who Al Eagleson represented.
Well, after what he
My
did,
own defense
conflict
partner, my own
after
defense partner. Like
Yeah.
I'd fight and I'm going, what are you like? He's a crook. He's bad. Like,
Right.
and so, no. Like, it was kind of that old, the ultimate power leads to the ultimate corruption.
Yeah.
right.
exactly.
Well, what he did to Bobby Orr,
Absolutely.
it's the
And
worst
so many
thing in the
others.
history of sports, as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
Yeah. No, I know. It was just, and to me, it was so obvious, like to me, and it was like he wasn't representing the players. Like a player who had some intelligence and business savvy would ask him a question in front of the team, and he just put him
Berate people.
down and
Yeah.
berate him and call him
Yeah.
like, "Who the fuck are you asking me?" And like, you're sitting there going, and so that didn't work in my mind.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was. So, I mean, I wasn't even player rep, and I flew myself to Florida to go after him. And
Right,
my
right.
final line after asking the question 3 times was actually, and I didn't even know you at the time, Hully, was, so what you're telling me is supplemental pension is Bobby Hull. My pension, you gave me Bobby Hull's pension. And that's what I said. The name came out of the blue, and you and I weren't close at the time.
And no answer, right?
No. But even behind the scenes, the guys, they were still trying to, and players too, and real players, like the guys who were all on the board, they're real guys. And I don't know if players just didn't say much in those days, or they just didn't want it to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have thought Ted
or
Lindsay
they
would have
wanted-
brought everybody.
Well, or they wanted to get in management and they wanted to get into that. And I mean, that same weekend, I watched Al Eagleson get on the Chicago owner's boat, the Blackhawk,
Right.
Yeah.
and roll off into the sunset as we were players were all sitting on the beach.
Blackhawk.
Going, the Blackhawk, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Wirtz.
Isn't that
And it was
crazy?
like, so, hang on, who are you working for?
Yeah.
And it was, to me, it just seemed so obvious to me. But
Yeah.
I didn't have, I mean, I was probably too young and not good enough to be stirring up the pot that I was. And I think for lots of the guys that hung in there with them the longest time, they were thinking of their post hockey careers.
Yeah. I think there's
Instead
probably
of-
a lot of that.
Instead of thinking of the guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
Probably a lot of that.
so in the end, it certainly worked out for the players. And I was proud to fight for the players. And then I did
Yeah,
become,
I'm glad
then
to
I did
see.
become player rep eventually.
Yeah.
'cause-
I'm glad to see the guys today have a good pension.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
it makes ours look stupid, but
Absolutely. Oh, we gave up in that 86, I believe, agreement we were fighting for free agency, and we gave up free agency. So I started quite young. I played underage and whatnot.
Mhm.
And I qualified for that, what we thought was 250 grand. Well, it's 250 grand if it compounds to this till you're
Yeah,
age 55,
yeah.
right? So that was the value to me when I completed my 400 games under that formula was about 18,000 Canadian.
Yeah.
So we gave up free agency for 5 years for
Yeah.
18,000 Canadian.
Yeah.
And players let it happen. It's our fault, and players' fault
and
up till then.
and that'll go back to, like, you are two of the smartest guys that I know that have played. There's a lot of smart guys, Adam Oates being one, but I would imagine that 97% of the NHL players have no clue about the business acumen that goes that deep.
Yeah.
They can balance their checkbook, but I mean that when it comes to pension stuff, it's like,
Yeah. I think that's probably true of really a lot of the other major sports,
Right.
but I'll speak to our culture, and, this probably grows more out of, you and I aren't that far apart, but I almost feel like, you tap into a different generation than I do in some respects, but the explanation to me is the same. It's not that we're not savvy as a group. I think we're humble, like growing up on the prairies of Canada, a lot of us, most of us grow up very trusting. Most of us grow up very humble.
There you
Most
go.
of
Just
us,
gonna throw that word out.
most of
Trust.
us just,
Yeah.
And
somebody
there's
is in
bad people
charge.
that take advantage of trustworthy people.
And honestly, Butch can speak to this, but I'll bet it's not Eagleson's, like the substance of what he's saying doesn't bother you. It's that the fact that he's belittling people, that's the thing that gets your antenna twitching going, hey, what I'm hearing, the tone of what I'm hearing, that just doesn't sit well. I mean, I got to believe that's what gets you to step out and to step up.
Absolutely. I'll tell a quick story on that, this was even after the fact when I started going after him or against him, was we signed Barry Peterson in Vancouver, Cam Neely, infamous Cam Neely trade. And Petey's a great guy. But he, after his shoulder surgery and whatnot, he wasn't the same guy. He just had cancer in his shoulder, and he's still a good player for years after that. But we brought up to Alan Eagleson in our players' meetings. Like he was kind enough to come meet us in Buffalo. It was after a pregame meal. All we want to do is go to bed.
Yeah,
You guys go, okay, wrap this up. Like the mentality in those days.
Right.
And so brought up Barry Peterson, who signed a large contract when he came, large for those days. Yeah. And he was a guy on Dougie Lidster, myself, and Barry Peterson would talk the business end of it all the time. And we were all in agreement about Eagleson. So Barry Peterson said, well, listen, Al, do you think salary disclosure would be a way to help raise the players' salaries? Because Dougie Lidster and I had salary disclosure with each other.
Right.
He'd have a better year than me,
Yeah.
and he'd get more money than me. And then I'd have a better year than him, and I'd get more money than him. We knew exactly what each other was making.
Yeah.
And Al Eagleson's response to Barry Peterson was, oh, is that right, Petey? Do you want everybody in the world to know that you make more money than Wayne Gretzky? That won't be embarrassing. You want that in the press? You want everybody to know what a joke it is?
I bet you Wayne would.
Wayne would. Absolutely, Wayne would.
Yeah.
And that was the exact comments of the thing. And embarrassed him and did that. And it was a joke. And as we all know, salary disclosure was a huge part of players starting to get reasonable pay, at least at that time.
Yeah. No question.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's been, this is one of the best podcasts.
Oh, you don't have.
We've
You
had-
say that to all your
No, I don't.
podcasts.
Said it
No,
to
Yes,
me last
this is-
time I
I
was here.
bet he
No,
does. He's not snowing me.
First of all, I couldn't snow either of you two. But it's been a pleasure, Stu, and we have to do it again because I know there's way more stuff we could talk about.
Oh, there's stuff. Oh,
And
there's
so
stuff.
it's,
Stuff begets stuff. You
And
bet.
so
glad to be back.
We're starting to think that we should, and it's hard a little bit, but we want to bring on groups where we could all, talk about like things like the PA and how the game has evolved into where it is today, and how much, like, there's so much of the game I dislike today, but there's so much I love about the game today.
Yeah.
And we can get into things like that, and with smart, intelligent guys that have really good opinions. You guys are a part of that. So thank you so much. And can't thank you enough for watching Ice Guardians. And until next time, from the Window World Studios, presented by Siteman Cancer. Adios.
Take care, everybody.